I said, oh, I can video like this. What is going on YouTube? This is your boy SJ. Coming back again with some more DD2. Actual gameplay this time. But there's going to be a lot of builds, more builds coming. So I'm telling you guys, if you guys are not enjoying the builds, gameplay's coming though. So gameplay's on the way. But about this gameplay, this is NM4 Endgame. I'm using the beginning stages of my DPS Huntress. My Huntress is a lot better now. And I just wish that the training dummies in the tavern will show your crit chance when you actually do crit hits. That would actually make the tavern testing your DPS a lot more efficient, so you actually know what you have, because I know I have a lot more than about 80k DPS. I know I can hit about 100k DPS with my Huntress with my new pet ability. With everything combined, I think I can hit around 110 DPS. I hit 90 in the tavern and that was just straight damage, but even with the crits, I do believe the crits will bring me to that 3-digit 100k mark. But a lot of people are shooting for it if you're a DPS player. That's probably what everybody shoots for. They shoot for it just to get that 100k DPS. So you're doing 100k damage per second, which is pretty sweet. But with crit chance not being able to be shown in the tavern, you cannot tell really what your DPS is. You can just raw DPS, just raw damage is what you can tell. So I may actually start doing that, just raw damage builds with only the Huntress and the Mage, because of just you need tanks for Nightmare 4. As you see, it's just one shot, so melee is not that good. But Jockel, I think his name is Joshua, so hopefully he doesn't mind just calling me Joshua or Josh, but I'll call him Jockel for now because that's his actually Steam name. But yeah, it's a hit or miss with Nightmare 4. I see like you can get lucky and have a non-resist lane and a physical lane together, and I find those two lanes together to be the best for flamethrower and even traps. I find just the magic lane is so difficult if you don't have a DPS, like the magic resist, or yeah, the magic resist, because you have to use traps, and if your traps aren't up to par, a lot of people are not using cannonballs. But I did test out a cannonball build earlier today, which actually worked pretty well. I ran frostbite, I ran cannonballs, but I let the cannonballs, they took damage and stuff, but they did get the buff from when the ogre got up close, so I was actually able to melt ogres with cannonballs like pre-alpha or the stages that the PS4 is in right now. Back when the PC version was like that, you were definitely able to just melt anything, but now it takes time. You need your DPS in Nightmare 4, and we're learning that. But this was the second day after giving it a try, and we made it to wave 6, which is pretty good for one day. We can barely make it past wave 2. We made it to wave 3 once, and we're making it to wave 6 on EndGame, and we make it to wave 4 on EndGame Incursion, Nightmare 4. So definitely the builds are getting better. We're getting better gear, and the team is getting a lot better than it was before. Just we're getting the builds down, and with me running DPS now that he actually is leveling up with DPS hero also, I have a DPS mage. It's like we should have no problems. We can set it up right. Like if somebody's doing a lot more physical damage, we can put them on the magic resist lane. If someone's doing a lot more magic damage, we can put them on the physical resist lane, so forth. So when you're doing damage, your damage is doing the full potential. Like I don't like seeing a mage on a magic resist lane. It does not make sense, because mostly his damage is going to be magic damage, so he should be on the physical resist lane, not a magic resist lane, because then he's not going to be putting out the DPS he needs to be putting out. I find Huntress is the best for the magic resist lanes, just because of the concussion shot and the uber with it. It makes your concussion and physical attacks a lot stronger, and the bows in general, if you don't have a fire on it, pretty much the attack is going to be a physical attack, such as like the homing or the falcon shot. 99% of the time it's going to be a physical attack unless you have a proc on it, like fire damage and you get like a 5% chance to do fire damage and ignite the enemy. That's the only way. But as you see, I got a legendary bow. That bow right there, I do not know where it is. I do believe it was an upgrade, but I mistaken. Like, I don't know. I think I accidentally sold it. I'm not gonna lie. I think I actually sold it because it was in the auto pick folder. And those, just most of the time I sell those. If it's not pet food or an egg, I sell it. Even sometimes when it's an egg, I sell it. But if it's not pet food or an egg, I will sell it. But Nightmare 4 is not solo play at the moment. I do believe you can do it solo. I find out that you need just the craziest gear. You need gear that's 1,000 item power, and you can't get that right now. You need that type of teamwork to get to that actual 1,000 item power. And they actually said that in a dev stream a long time ago, that they wanted Nightmare 4 to not be able to be done solo. They wanted it to be for 2 or more players or 3 players, but I still feel like they still do hit too hard. Even though we are getting better, they hit really hard. You need a lot of DPS heroes to just cancel out the missing damage that you can't get from traps right now, or that you can't get from your flamethrower ubers and stuff that you're missing on. They want you to have that DPS hero for the other half of that. And definitely I would recommend having a DPS hero. If you guys are new, I know it just became open alpha a couple days ago. Definitely get a DPS hero, because once you get into Nightmare 3 and 4, people are going to be asking for DPS. Oh, you got a DPS hero? Because I'm just going to build. We just need DPS hero. So DPS heroes are a must. Now that the game is starting to feel like, it's not starting to feel like DD1, but it's starting to feel good, where I think one day you will be able to just tank the game with DPS heroes like DD1 was. I remember on PS3 when I played DD1, you could once you got the ballista on your huntress, just the attack rate and just the deeps you could do were insane, that there was no reason to actually build, and you get more points for the less stuff you build. I don't know if they brought that into DD2, but I remember, if I'm saying this correctly, if you built less and you had units left over, it improved your drop rate, so forth, stuff like that. Don't know if that was a fact, but I did hear that. And you want to get a hero damage ability power build. A lot of people, your best bet will be a huntress, because even though you're doing physical damage, your oil flask and your piercing shot is magic damage, and they hit hard, especially piercing shot. So you can do a physical resist lane or a magic resist lane with a huntress. I find the huntress is probably the all-around best DPS hero. But if you have an apprentice, I find that he's mainly for physical resist lanes. I find the huntress can prevail in any type of lane, but I find my apprentice needs to be in a physical resist lane. It can't be in a magic resist lane, because it feels like I'm not hitting the enemies hard enough. When I played with some randoms earlier today, I found that out. I had my apprentice starting out, testing out my DPS build and so forth, and it didn't do what I expected it to do. I felt like I was doing less DPS than I was doing in the tavern. Felt like I wasn't doing enough DPS in general. Just, it felt like the walls were taking so much damage because I wasn't killing stuff fast enough. I wasn't killing trash mobs. And by trash mobs, I mean like the little ones that walk around with the little grenades and throw stuff. I'm not talking about your green skins or your Drakens, stuff like that. I'm talking about the little white mobs that are basically there so you can proc off of with your like Serenity auras and your poison towers. That's mainly, they want those enemies to die fast enough so you can get that extra proc damage off on the other enemies around them and so forth. But I don't find any need for the trash mobs to be hitting as hard as they do, even though I'm jumping around a lot in this video. But the trash mobs hits too hard and so forth. But just the whole hit aspect is the monsters hit really hard in Nightmare 4. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to make you think about your build, and that's what it has done. It was frustrating in the beginning because I was not able to get into DD2 Nightmare 4 at all until I was like, it's time to go look for a team. I mean, I did it solo a couple times, made it to the second wave, got a couple drops, but no farther than that. Third wave won solo, and the third wave is just thrash. Even though I find upgrading the walls, that's you want to upgrade your walls. I don't really find upgrading defenses that needed. Especially in game, you want to put all your mana into your walls. Now incursion, mana drops like crazy. Enemies are dropping a lot more mana than they do in regular in game, so that will definitely come to use and help you out a lot more than you would think. And this is actually when I found the bow. This is actually the bow in my build video that's gonna get uploaded. I've been using fire damage. Like if I want to go against the physical resist lane, I actually want to feel like my bow is doing damage, I will run this bow instead of a bow that's doing physical, just shooting darts, or just a regular hero damage ability power bow with no elemental damage on it. It's not that good for physical resist lane because all you have is really your piercing shot in your oil flask, and that has a cooldown. It's not a short cooldown, those have cooldowns. I think oil flask is your best bet, so that's why you want to have your huntress on a magic resist lane, because your concussion shot, you can get an Uber for it, and it does not, I repeat, it does not have that long of a cooldown. I mean, piercing shot compared to piercing shot and mana bomb, you want to build around your first two skills, I feel like. I mean, because your third skill is going to hit hard. It's going to hit hard. If you're a monk, your third skill buffs, and if you're a squire, it buffs, and you can do increased damage. But that being said, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. This is an 11-minute commentary so far. I'm just going to let it ride out the rest, I do believe. And my pet. A lot of people are asking about my pet in game, the one that's the vines. It causes like a giant vine to go around the enemies. It works on all enemies, guys. Special enemies, ogres, any enemy can get wrapped with the vines. Now that's the problem with the tornado. The tornado cannot hit ogres, special enemies, not special enemies, special bosses like your Tusker and your Quibbits or Quibite. You don't want that. That's why the only thing is make the tornado be able to hit ogres. Then even you don't even have to do the buff, because I'll use it right off the jump, and make it only so the Uber tornado can hit the ogres. Now, because right now it's like your tornado is pointless. Your arcane volley is what you want to build around for your mage. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna let the rest of the gameplay ride out. Should be just one more wave or two more waves. No, one more wave, because we make it to wave 6 and then we lose. So one more wave should be about 4 minutes. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. This is your boy SJ. I got a lot more coming. Me and Jockel do have a Nightmare 3 video that we just demolished Nightmare 3. The day that we are having trouble on Nightmare 4 early on, we just demolished Nightmare 3, made Nightmare 3 look so easy that it's like, this is why I don't get why Nightmare 4 is so hard, because we can do Nightmare 3 pretty much any map, no problem, and just demolish the ogres and all that. But that being said, like I said 100 times, this is your boy SJ, and I'm out. Later.